Hi, I'm Marlo from Wild Food UK. It's the 6th of June today and I'm in Herefordshire by the banks of the beautiful River Wye. And today I am surrounded by deadly poisons. This is hemlock water dropwort. Done videos on this before. As you can see, the bees like it. But if you were to eat this plant, it would be a painful death that would actually leave you with a smile on your face. Watch my ID video on hemlock water dropwort to find out more about that. But I haven't done a video on this one before. This is another plant that likes it on riversides. Don't tend to find it as often in the wild as you do in gardens because of these beautiful flowers here. This is monk's hood, Aconitum napellus. Now, the jury's out for me. I'm not a toxicologist, but different websites and different sources rate these two as the most poisonous plant in the country. I don't know which is more poisonous. What I have read is that hemlock water dropwort, a handful of it can kill you in a couple of hours. And I've read about monk's hood that possibly as little as a gram of the plant can kill you in about an hour. Now, it's got lots of other names, monk's hood, Wolfsbane and Flea Bane and soldiers' helmets because of these beautiful flowers that arc over like a helmet or a hood. Scientific name is Aconitum napellus. Now, the aconitum comes from Greek. It could mean that the leaves are spiky, which they are. Or I've also read that it could be because people used to tip their arrows with poison from this plant, and it's certainly been used as a poison in many different ways, from whaling, where it was used to help poison the tips of harpoons, to arrows, and to murder. There have been murders attributed to this plant. Now, let's go through its ID features. It's in the wider ranunculus family, so the buttercup family, and it's got quite buttercup-like leaves, as you can see, nice and spiky. The only edible lookalike for this really is mugwort, your artemisias, and the way to tell the difference is the underside of the leaf that you can see there on our monk's hood is quite smooth. I'll drop in a photo now of the underside of our mugwort, and as you can see, that's quite densely hairy. So that's a way of telling the difference between the two. There aren't really any other things that we forage for that have a resemblance to this plant. Anyway, mugwort, very healthy plant, quite tasty and good for you. This, though, certainly is not. The napellus part of this plant comes from the fact that the roots of it are tuberous or slightly turnip-like, and apparently the largest quantities of the poison in here, aconitum or aconitum, is in those roots, but the whole plant is poisonous. And here's your seed pods. Have a close look at those. The whole plant is toxic, and apparently it's a plant that can potentially poison you through your skin, but I'm not so sure about that. I've handled this plant plenty of times and never had any toxic effects from it. I think if you've got any open wounds, then it's probably best not to handle this plant or anything poisonous. To me, that's just common sense. There was a report of a gardener who apparently had died from monk's hood poisoning. It's, I think, inconclusive as to whether monk's hood was the reason for the gardener's death. And to me, it would be unusual if that had been the cause of his death, because if it was, then florists and gardeners all over the country would probably be dropping dead all through summer. So not sure about that one. It's named Wolfsbane. Comes from the fact that The poison from this was actually used to poison meat that was left out for wolves to kill them off. And apparently it also helps you ward off werewolves, which is clearly a useful thing. Anyway, Monk's Hood. There is a beautiful big patch of it here growing beside a river. And in the wild, that's its preferred habitat. Although you can kind of find this plant anywhere, it's certainly not one that you want to put into your forager's bag, and it's certainly one that you need to know about as a forager. Don't worry about it though if you find it. Just like with your hemlock water dropwort and your hemlocks and your foxgloves, there's plenty of deadly poisonous things around the country. Just don't eat them. That's what we say. Anyway, this is a plant that's useful as a food source for bumblebees. We've seen some bumblebees. I might be able to throw in a shot now of some of the bumblebees sucking out the nectar from the plant. The flowers aren't really designed for honeybees. So what honeybees have to do is generally burrow in from the top of the flower to get to the nectar, whereas long-tongued bees like our bumblebees can get straight into the flower. There are other species of Aconitum and they can hybridize quite easily, and they're not all purple. In ancient Greece, it was known as the Queen of Poisons. So take a good look at those leaves and those beautiful flowers there. And if you are a forager, remember this plant, because obviously it's not one that you ever want to put into your forager's bag. It's been used for murders in the past. In 1882, apparently a guy called George Henry Lansom murdered his brother over an inheritance, and there were murder cases in Japan using this plant as well, because it's native to East Asia and to Europe and to the UK. It's got plenty of references in popular culture, including Shakespeare, who I think mentions it in Macbeth, and George V. And it's alluded to that it was the poison from this plant that Shakespeare wrote about for Romeo and Juliet. There's a buzzy bee enjoying a nice drink from it, though. I certainly won't be. He's round the other side, Eric. There you are. Obviously, it's not a toxin that the bees worry about too much. Right, I hope you've liked this video. If you did, then give it a like, subscribe if you want to, and if you do want to learn about things like this, the best way would be to come on a course with someone like us, Wild Food UK, or go to our website, wildfooduk.com.